here's how I would mitigate risk as a new investor. This one also comes from the Facebook group. Jessica Armendariz asked how to plan and mitigate risk when starting out. That's actually a really good question. And I've got, I'll call it 5 and a bonus ways that I would do this. So the very first way is by having a solid W-2, right? If you have a good W-2, you can afford to take bigger risks. This is one of the reasons that I think the military is the best way to build wealth at an early age, because you can't, well, you won't just get fired from your job in the military. You've got to do something stupid to lose your job in the military. They need bodies. They're going to let you re-enlist as long as you're not a complete shithead. If you get a DUI, yeah, you might get kicked out, but don't get a DUI. You don't want one of those anyway. Don't do drugs while you're like, it's simple to keep your career in the military intact. It really is. Stay in shape, show up when you're supposed to show up, don't do anything illegal, pretty much it. I mean, it's not hard. So knowing that your career is set and you've got food, you've got medical, you've got dental, you've got, housing, all those things covered, dental, whatever, allows you to take some risks, because even if you fail and fall on your face, you're still going to have that job. It's not like it's the end of the world for you. You're not going to end up homeless while active duty. They're going to take care of you. I'm not saying you should blow all your money and then not be able to pay your bills. No, but you'll be okay, right? You can recover from those things. Now, I think that the W-2 is probably one of the biggest ways to mitigate your risk. Now, number 2 here, great deals. And I know that seems very cliche, but just be overly conservative for those first few until you have an idea what you're doing. So if you're trying to make 10% cash on cash return, don't offer on anything that won't make you a 20. So if you're trying to make a 10% cash on cash return, don't offer on anything that doesn't appear like it'll make you closer to 20. That way, if you're off the mark, you miss something, you're still going to land at a decent spot. I mean, you'd have to be off by 50% to mess up your return to where you actually wanted to hit the mark, right? So just be overly conservative. Now, downside to that is you're going to have less deals that you land, but I mean, they'll be great deals. So that's okay. I'd rather have, 4 or 5 great deals than 20 mediocre, crappy deals all day, every day. And most investors will tell you that it's not doors, it's cash flow that matters. So 5 doors that cash flow 10 grand is better than 100 doors that cash flow 10 grand all day, every day. Don't care what anyone else wants to say. Doors is an ego metric, cash flow is the real metric. So find yourself, be overly conservative with these deals. Or the third thing I would work on as far as mitigating your risk is to have a emergency fund set aside and cash reserves. I think those should actually be kind of forefront. Now, what I would say is at the beginning, you could set up 1 month's emergency fund, pay off all your debt, then go to 6 months, but ideally you want a 6-month runway emergency fund. And then on top of that, you're gonna want the 6-month emergency fund, and then you're gonna want to have cash reserves. So for your first property, depending on where you live, 10 grand is probably enough for that cash reserves. Now, if you're buying a $2 million property for your first one, probably want more than 10 grand set aside, but most people aren't gonna buy a $2 million property for their first investment. So 10 grand is probably okay. And then you just slowly grow that. So I would say you want maybe 25 grand set aside in cash reserves, whatever your number is to where you're comfortable. Slowly build that before you start taking cash for your next investment. And so if you have a big emergency fund, then hey, I'm gonna weather 6 months of bullshit. Even if I have no income coming in, I've got it set aside, I'm okay, which allows you to take bigger risks. And then also you've got the cash reserve. So for this property, I'm set for pretty much anything that happens, because insurance will cover anything over that deductible, and then you've got all this stuff. And then as you grow your portfolio, there'll be a point where you kind of cap your cash reserves and you're like, whatever, not everything's gonna go wrong at the same time, and you'll just enjoy some cash flow, still have the emergency fund, have a big cash reserves, and then your risk is kind of keeled out because your other investments will also help mitigate that risk, because if one house goes down hard, 9 will keep it kind of afloat. Right, the fourth thing I would think about is partnering. So this might look like you just find an experienced investor and say, yo, can I follow you along? So story time, when I was in Hawaii, I found a deal that I thought would make a great flip, and my buddy Corey Numoto was incredible at house flipping. So I hit him up and I was like, bro, I don't know anything about this. You think this is good? Actually, I shot it to Brandon Turner as a live-in flip idea, and it wasn't what he was looking for. So then I gave it to Corey, and Corey actually offered me a kickback, and I was like, nah, man, I don't need a kickback. I'd rather just learn from you. Can I just come and help design the kitchen and the property and kind of learn about some of this stuff and watch you guys flip this house? And that's what I did. He made money. He did give me a little bit of a kickback, but not his normal amount, which is fine because I got to be involved in the process. They actually picked my design for the kitchen. And so I got to help design this house. I got to learn. I got to be through the whole process from purchase, demo to design, reno to sale. And I learned a ton on that. And so you could go find people like that. You find a good deal, you bring it to someone, he has to be a part of the deal. Or you could bring, maybe you just have money and you invest invest that money with an experienced investor and ask to, learn from them along the ride. Or you just 50-50 partner with somebody who has experience, you have money, and you are a part of that. So there's a lot of ways that you can leverage your cash or your network or your ability to find deals in order to find an experienced person and learn from them firsthand. It's another great way to mitigate that risk because you're learning firsthand. The fifth thing I would say here, and this is honestly my favorite answer, but I wanted to leave this towards the bottom because it's a little self-serving, is get around people that are doing what you want to do, and get around people that have already done what you want to do, have achieved what you want to achieve, are where you want to be in life, and get in that community, get in that group. So like a great free example is the Military Millionaire Facebook group. If you're not in there right now, we've got 66,000 people that are service members and veterans and spouses and family members who are interested in financial freedom, and I spend all sorts of time, me and my moderators, curating all the bullshit out so that it is as clean and genuine of a group as it could possibly be. The engagement's huge, and that's a good community. You can ask questions in there anonymously if you must, but I prefer you don't because you'll get better feedback and it clogs the pipeline. But just, you can ask questions in there, get answers from people who genuinely care, and it's gonna be great. But if you want to take it up a notch, and this is why I say it's a little self-serving, an example would be like the War Room Mastermind. So you're paying to play in a group of people who are really fucking serious about their goals. Everybody in that group is paying to be there. They want to be there. There are members doing 7 figures, 8 figures a year, 7-8 figure businesses, and they are in that group. They're invested and they want to spend time with you. They want to help you. They'll answer questions. I've got coaches. I've got 3 calls a week. We set you up in an accountability group. There's all kinds of educational resources. I mean, you get the full suite. You get courses, you get master classes, you get recordings from guest speakers, recordings from member presentations, you get accountability squads, you get a once a week group coaching with me where like 10 to 20 people show up and they ask questions and I throw answers, and it's great. And all of that is included. And so like that's honestly, that's what I did. That's why I recommend it. I was in a free Bigger Pockets mastermind group. Then I was in a mastermind group around a Pat Flynn book. Can't think of the name of it. Raving Fans or something like Super Fans. We read his book and used that as a mastermind. Then I was in a YouTuber group mastermind that did a call every week full of YouTubers, some of which have 1 million subscribers now. Then I paid to be in David Green's mastermind. That was like $300 a month, and I'm sure it's more now. And then I paid to join GoBundance, and that's $1,000 a month. And I've been in GoBundance now for 2.5, 3 years, and it's been great. And so, I believe in this whole pay to play. If I want to get around someone, I'm willing to throw money their direction to learn from them and to really get a vibe for what's going on and make sure that it's a good fit and really learn from them and pick their brain. And because I understand their time is valuable enough that they wouldn't be able to do that without it paying some of their bills. It is what it is. Some people say that's self-serving and oh my gosh, it's whatever, but like, dude, we've helped hundreds of people achieve financial freedom in that group. People are doing deals together. People are running businesses together. People are building their own communities together. It's super badass. And so yeah, if you're serious about this and you're a service member or a veteran and you're interested in finding your community and take it to the next level, there'll be a link down below, or you can just go to the website and click on the War Room and set up a call with my team. We'll see if you're a good fit and we'll let you into the group. That's honestly my favorite answer. That's how I did it, and that's the fastest way to shortcut all this. Now, the next piece here, age. This is such a cop-out. This is why I said like 5 reasons plus like kind of the younger you are, the more of a risk you can take. Plain and simple. If you're 60 years old and you gamble your retirement fund on a deal and it doesn't work, it's gonna be a really bad day because you don't have a retirement now. But if you're 20 and you gamble everything you got on a deal and it doesn't work, A, it's probably less money. B, you've got 40 years to make it back and figure it out. All the education you got from that deal that didn't go well, because let me tell you, the deals that I've had that didn't go well, I learned a ton from. All of that education will serve you for the next God knows how long, right? 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, whenever you decide to actually retire, it'll be fine. It won't matter. In the grand scheme of things, it'll be a blip. And so the earlier you start taking risks in your life, the less they affect you in the long run, which is why I'm still okay taking some fairly large risks, because I'm still early 30s. I know I don't look it, but I'm 33. I'll be 34 in a week, but I'm 33 right now. And I've got 27 years to figure it out, almost as long as I've been alive. Longer than I've been in real estate, longer than I was when I joined the Marine Corps. 27 years to sort it out before I retire. So I'm not super worried. I'm okay taking some risks. Okay, so then I put some other notes down here while I was filming this. One is I always run a deal through what's the worst case scenario. So when you're looking at this and you're doing this like conservative, you want to look at like what's the worst case. And this kind of ties hand in hand with like asymmetric bets. Asymmetric bets means like the downside is very, very, very minimal, but the upside is huge. Now it might just earn a whatever, like a normal return, but there's a potential, like let's say you're like, it's probably gonna earn like 8 to 12%, but there's a potential for it to earn 1,000% return on this. Simultaneously, it's not really going to have a risk. Like it's like bond or options. Like with options, you stand to lose 10% of what you would have if you bought all the shares yourself, but the upside's potentially big, or there's a lot of ways to hedge your bets. So that's something I look at, like the asymmetric bets, what's the worst case scenario? Will it wipe me out out? Will I be okay with that? And then what's the best case? And if you acknowledge that you're going to lose sometimes, but if one best case scenario takes out 9 losses, like it's 1,000% return and then the 9 are all 10% losses, then it's like, well, you lost 90%, but you won 1,000% on the other 10. So pays for all of it. And then some, you're still up 10x. That's how venture capitalists and angel investors handle all their risk. They place a lot of smaller bets in places, and one will crush it and the rest will be kind of and that one will carry the portfolio's return. So look for those asymmetric upsides. Like a great example of that is like reading a book. There's not really any downside. Like your biggest risk of reading a book is that you didn't really get anything out of it and you wasted 5 hours reading it. Okay. But the upside is that it's an incredible book that changes the trajectory of your life forever, like Rich Dad Poor Dad or The No BS Guide to Military Life. But like some kind of a book that changes your life, and that one book, the asymmetric bet on that is like lost 5 hours of my life or it changed my entire life. Like that's huge. And so that's a great example. But anyway, I hope this helps. If you have more questions on risk, I'm happy to help, happy to chat. But I mean, ultimately it boils down to your risk tolerance, and these are just some ways to help you be able to mentally take some of those risks. Make sure you follow.